Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306, and as promised, I am back with another video here. And, yeah, basically, let me unscrew this. Yeah, so at one of my flea market visits, I picked up this guy, as you can see, for a single dollar. This is a Sony Watchman. And I'm just sitting here, I have my PSP Go, and you know, I'm playing some games on this tiny little CRT black and white TV, which is awesome. Not very practical, but you know, the purpose was just for testing this. Yeah, not bad for a dollar. So let's do a quick teardown of this. Before I get into that, let me adjust my lighting a bit, and you know, I'll show you what controls this system has, and then go through it with the actual teardown. But let's see, get a close-up of the screen itself. There we go. It's actually pretty sharp. I mean, I think it's like an inch and maybe an inch and a half or something like that. It's actually pretty good. There is an issue with the geometries being not quite square just because of how the CRT is formed, but not too bad otherwise. Yeah, so let's do a quick teardown of this once again after I get set up, so I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back, and let's turn the volume down a bit. Yeah, basically, as you all know, at least in the US, I'm pretty sure other countries as well have followed suit. We no longer get analog TV transmissions. Everything's digital, so these devices are more or less useless unless you want to use them for the AVN. So let's turn this guy off, and I will show you all the features. So pretty neat that the volume slider has this red little bar to show you the actual you know, percentage of the volume, which is pretty neat. It has a pretty thick plastic cover here. The CRT itself is in there. There's a tuning indicator for the AM/FM radio, which is pretty neat, as well as a TV for VHF and UHF. There's also an indicator for FM stereo, as most you know, radio systems had. There's a switch on-off here, if it's in frame, on-off, off radio, and then TV if it's all the way in the top. There's a composite video input that also takes audio, which is pretty neat. I also hooked this guy up to my PS2 and fired up Silent Hill 2 on it just to see how it'd run. It was playable, but I wouldn't use this as an actual video source. There's a headphone jack input here. There's 6 volts DC, which annoyingly has the center as negative and the outer as positive, as opposed to, you know, the universal standard of outer negative, center positive. It's really irritating. There is a nice whip antenna that also can rotate if you pull it out far enough, which is pretty cool. And let's see. So beyond that, there's frequency band selectors for VHF, UHF, AM, FM local, and FMDX. Other than that, on the bottom, you'll see they have a vertical hold potentiometer and a contrast knob. These are a real pain to turn because they don't really protrude. You have to kind of get your fingernail in there and try to turn them, and even then they're difficult. So it's a bit of a pain. You have your speaker up on the front, and this model is, let's see, it was made in April 1985, first off, by Sony, obviously. And it is the FD-30A, for all you that are interested in that. Let's see, if you open this guy here, has an interesting battery loading mechanism. It takes 4 AA batteries that just slot in there. But it appears that maybe there was a rechargeable battery pack that you could buy. I'm not sure, because if you look in there, there are 3 contacts, and only 2 of them are used on this battery pack, with kind of an open spot for the 3rd contact, which kind of makes me think that there was some sort of option for this. So yeah, pretty interesting there. Let me fix my contrast so it doesn't keep going to the background. Okay, so this guy's pretty easy to open. There's 5 screws on the back here. They are, some of them I believe are different lengths, so you probably want to keep track of that. And they are quite long because they go through the unit. So yeah, can't believe I got this guy for $1. They also had I think it was a small, like 10-inch color TV, a CRT that they were also selling for $1. But I don't really have room for that in my apartment right now. I have a lot of other stuff. So unfortunately, I had to pass on that. That would have been nice to have as like a duck hunt machine. Seeing as the only other TVs I have access to are LCDs, and you can't play duck hunt on them. So anyway, this flap normally has a little piece of plastic that broke off here that keeps it down, but that's not too much of an issue for the tilting bale. So you should be able to just kind of wiggle this guy out. Come on. Yeah, wiggle this guy out, and it lifts out. And it's interesting, they give information about what picture tube type is used, as well as various warnings, because this is high voltage, because it needs to run the cathode ray tube. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, I'll be fine. Okay, so let's see. Should be able to also take off the front. Oh yeah, and these will pop right out and I'll lose them forever. Let's put them aside safely, and I might need to also take out the antenna screw. So let's try that. So I can take that out. That just comes out in one piece. And I'm very careful. Don't want to lose this. Huh, interesting. So, let me see. How did this go in? It appears that there was... Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So this little piece of metal comes out for the antenna. I have to be careful with that. I don't want to lose it. Let's see how best to do this. Yeah, probably want to keep that screw in so I don't lose it. Come on. Okay. I'll figure the rest out afterwards. So anyway, here's the internals of the unit. You can see the loudspeaker, which is actually pretty large. You'll see the various tuning mechanisms. Just a simple string with the indicator that slides along, that's tied to this knob here. You can see it moving. That's fairly standard for most radio tuners. This is a very interesting, like a rack and pinion system for that volume indicator, which just slides up and down as you turn that volume knob. Looks like the audio and video are kind of on their own separate board, and possibly the DC input jack, which is a pretty interesting way of doing it. You have the beautiful CRT itself, which is right in here. Cool thing also is the tube is actually kind of vertical if you look at it. These are the horizontal and vertical deflection coils in here. So these aren't electrostatically driven, they're actually magnetically driven. Here's the high voltage lead right in here. And you can see that goes to this big thick wire, and that goes down to the flyback. Right here is the tuner card. And yeah, very interesting. If you look at here, there's a flat flex cable. And pretty much all the test points are labeled on there. You can see there's a number of tunable potentiometers, variable resistors that you can get in there and tune these different parameters. So very interesting indeed. I wasn't expecting to see in something this old flat flex cable, but yeah, it's definitely in there. Let's see what else. I don't want to totally rip this apart because I actually want to keep this and not necessarily use it, but it's just a very cool piece of technology and history. So yeah, you can see the density of the components. Oh my goodness. You can see inductors, a transistor, capacitors. Wow, this is amazing. And then wire going, just going throughout. Oh man, it's ridiculous. You can see, if you can't see, this switch in here is actually, it's mounted, you know, to the board, and then this little actual plastic piece is right angle that actually moves the switch lever. And what is that guy? Oh. Right in here, you can see where I'm pointing, right behind this black transistor, is a variable capacitor that it uses to actually tune. So I'm guessing this knob connects to the string for the tuning mechanism, and there's a series of gears that actually turn the variable capacitor's knob inside there. Let's see what else I can see. Oddly enough, there are two white wires going here. Where do they go? Oh, they probably just snake around. I kind of want to take this apart more, but I have a feeling if I take it apart more, it's never going to go back together the same. Decisions. Oh, here's just a protective piece of plastic. Yeah, this is fascinating. I do really want to just tear into this. Oh, okay. An interesting thing is down here, this shielded can is actually the inverter, the flyback inverter. So that's what generates a high voltage, which gets sent to this red wire, which biases, you know, the picture tube to accelerate the electrons. I generally talked about this before, but yeah, for this guy, bigger picture tube than the small viewfinder one that I showed you last time. I want to maybe go a little bit further, but preferably non-destructively. So I might be able to get... ooh, yeah. Okay, so hopefully the tuning knob is keyed. If not, I'm good. Okay, it is good. So I can very carefully maybe nudge this out if I'm lucky. I don't see this coming out. I don't see this coming out without, you know, me having a very hard time of putting it back together. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Sorry, I'm not gonna go any deeper with this teardown, but as I stated, I kind of want to keep this working and together as one piece, but you can see most of the internals. You just can't see the component side of the PCB. Interestingly enough, there are a mix of through-hole, well, I expected mostly through-hole, but also some surface mount components. This is, what, mid-80s? So I guess that's reasonable enough to expect in something kind of high-tech at the time. Yeah, there's a shielding can under this piece of tape here, and that's pretty interesting all in all. So I'll probably just use this, I don't know, I was thinking of making a, like a composite video clock using like a PIC or something like that. And since it's only black and white, I only have to generate, you know, a black and white signal. So I don't have to do any fancy color burst stuff. And then I can use this as a desk clock or something, just write the time onto the display. I thought that might be a pretty neat use. Kind of pointless, but, you know, I figure most of my projects are kind of pointless anyway. Pointless, but very fun. So yeah, I guess I will leave it at that for now. I definitely want to keep this unit all together and working. Yeah, so just for fun. Do not try this, unless you're careful or you know what you're doing. But yeah, it's high voltage, but it'd probably just tickle me realistically. Let's see if it will actually turn on. I hear the squeal of the inverter, and she's on. So yeah, it still works. Not that I would have expected it not to work. Yeah, interesting thing. Let's see if that third wire goes anywhere. This pad. Yeah, it definitely goes somewhere. So I'm guessing it's like a temperature sensor for like a rechargeable nickel cadmium or nickel metal hydride pack. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for my teardown. This is a really neat unit. So yeah, apparently my memory is running out on my phone. I reached the maximum limit, so I got about like 4 minutes left. Anyway, this pretty much brings the teardown to an end. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for all your encouragement in me making these videos, and I will see you next time with something else to tear down. I got to figure out what else, but I got plenty of stuff, so no worries there. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.